great to be back, and thank you for all the work that you do. We've been working with a lot of our news organizations as well as our editorial boards around the state, and I appreciate the work that many of you have done. And as we attempted to bring everybody together for a special session, which we thought was the hard part. We thought if we could get them in a room together for 2 weeks that they could really get us with this type of stable budget that we could move forward. And instead of going on a 100-yard dash, as I said, we were moving toward by getting them in there to work things out. We're now back in the marathon period. So as you know, we're going to go through this till June, and you'll hear a lot from us testifying, but we thought it was important to let you know what's great about our university, but what's really happening, what's been going on. And everybody knows our story because you've written about our budget cuts over the many years, the state's financial situation with the $700 million hole that we have. We're really here today to talk to you about some things you may not know about us. Some things I'd like to tell you about, and because we're also tired of hearing the bad news, and there's so much good news going on our campus, our universities. We haven't been sitting there quietly doing nothing while all these budget battles have been going on. Even despite facing massive reductions, the past couple years we put together a new strategic plan. And that strategic plan really is to help our state, use our research, teaching, and service to help our state get out of being 49th in health, or 48th in environmental conditions, or 49th in inequality. And the goal of our university, the goal of a flagship university, should be to improve the region, improve the state, and to improve the economy for the next generation of students and our graduates. So we do believe it is our responsibility, and our collective capacity at LSU is stronger than anybody else's to be able to address this issue, because we've got ag centers in every parish in the state, 2 medical schools on both ends of the state, over about 50,000 students that we serve, and that ranges from Eunice, a 2-year institution, open access institution, to our main campus, which is the best. Keeping the best and the brightest certainly is a major issue for our flagship campus, but also stealing talented students from other states and other countries and bringing them to Louisiana, of which we have about 22% from other states, that we take great pride in taking those economic resources out of those states and those human capital resources to bring to our state to help build our economy together. Our statewide network of public universities and research institutions is we're all committed. We're all committed working together on this strategic plan. But you might not know that LSU is a member of an elite group of universities. And you don't hear this as much as you probably should, but we're in the first percentile, the highest percentile of universities in the United States that can claim a triple designation of being a land grant, a sea grant, and space grant institution, of which there are only 17 universities in the United States that can claim this. And what does this mean? Land grant institutions mean that we educate the next generation of agricultural scientists, engineers, and others. And we also build the nation's intellectual and economic infrastructure. They're talking right now about a major bill coming out of Washington that will be the infrastructure bill. But our point is, you need human capital infrastructure to build those roads and to build those bridges, to build all the things that we're going to be talking about doing in the next couple months that will have nonpartisan support at the end of the day. Sea grant institution, what does that mean? That means that we're actively engaged in saving our nation's coast and waterways. If you haven't been to our River Studies model, that's right up the road. It's right behind us, actually. The River Studies model is the most advanced river studies research facility in the United States, and perhaps in the world. It's the size of an NBA basketball court, and it takes 180 miles of the Mississippi River and redesigns it based on how coastal erosion is occurring, how we can stop coastal erosion, how we can study water flows and water patterns. And I encourage all of you to get a chance to go over and see this amazing research institute that we hope to be working with research scientists from the Netherlands to Indonesia that will be coming into Baton Rouge to study alongside of us on saving wetlands and saving coastal environments, which isn't a Louisiana issue by itself, but we just so happen, as the New York Times pointed out about 3 months ago, they pointed out that we are at the nucleus. We are at the heartbeat of coastal erosion and water gains around the United States. And this is an issue for Miami Beach, from Miami Beach to Long Beach, California, as I mentioned, from the Netherlands to Indonesia. And our researchers and scientists, both in engineering and in coastal studies, are at the heart of this challenge. What does it mean to be a space grant university? Well, most people don't really know that we work with NASA. We work with NASA to build the rockets that carried our space shuttles into space. And we're going to build the rockets that take us to Mars, that we're building in Louisiana at the Michoud Assembly Facility south of New Orleans. Those are our engineers, our equipment working with NASA. Most people never thought of how did those rockets get made and where do they come from. They actually come from our plant right here south of New Orleans with our faculty and staff and others that are working with NASA to make this happen. You also might not have heard that LSU is recognized by Carnegie Foundation as being among the top % of universities able to provide the kind of balanced STEM and arts environment that produces critical thinking. And this is the kind of stuff employers want to see. They want people that can solve problems and think critically. We do all of these things. On top of all this, every 5 years we put together an economic impact study to just remind the state and to remind our legislators of how important the economic impact of LSU is. And I brought you all copies of this recent economic impact study. 5 years ago, LSU meant $3.9 billion to this state annually. Now it's $5.1 billion to this state. It's because of the economic activity of LSU. Now that's collectively. Our medical schools are worth $1 billion in New Orleans. The main campus is worth $2.8 billion right here in Baton Rouge. Pennington's worth another $107 million a year to this community. And you know, you break that down per citizen, that $5.1 billion annually, that's about $1,100 that everybody benefits in Louisiana. Every citizen benefits from. Talk about return on investment. If you think about $5.1 billion, and we get about $200 million total to run the university. That's our medical schools and our main campus. $2.8 billion generated by the main campus, and we get $120 million to run the main campus. You can do the math for yourself, but the math clearly shows that that's a $13.25 investment that every return on investment gets for every dollar that you put into the university. And not to mention jobs and earnings potential. When we turn out graduates that go on and have careers and advanced earnings power, just the main campus is worth $803 million annually in advanced earnings power because of the degrees they've acquired at the graduate level and undergraduate level from our main campus. Total number of jobs, worth 18,000 direct jobs to this state. 40,000 with indirect jobs that are those companies, those industries, those businesses base their economy on what happens at the university. That's 3% of the entire state's workforce. And I tell people that in some cases that's a pretty big company for any state. But the best news about LSU is that unlike companies, we're not going anywhere. Those jobs are here to stay, and those jobs are here associated with our university. No other university generates over $500 million in federal research-related activities. That's Department of Education, Department of Defense, National Science Foundation, the NSF, NIH, National Institutes of Health. So if you think about it, we generate 2.5 times what the state gives us in federal research-related activities that put people to work and spend dollars right here in Louisiana. And we have to be able to compete for those dollars because I guarantee you these are competitive dollars that we have to tackle Ohio State and UCLA to win these funds, to bring these funds to our state so they can apply to our students, faculty, and staff. As you know, these challenges that we face on getting us out of 49th in health is perhaps one of our biggest issues. Our medical schools in Pennington and the work that we do. If we're not helping our state get healthier, then our state is increasingly in the economic quagmire that is swamping our state budget. And it's swamping state budgets around the United States. Let me take just one area. Diabetes. 1 out of 6 people in Louisiana have diabetes. And the economic cost to Louisiana just in the last 5 years because of diabetes has grown by $1.5 billion. and is expected to grow even faster in the next 5 years because of the aging population and the diabetic situation we have with young children. More than 60 people in our state are diagnosed with cancer every day, and our mortality rates are 15% higher than the national average. And our state ranks 5th in the nation in Alzheimer's-related deaths. Our research is absolutely vital to solving these state problems and helping our next generation not only graduate with good, degrees, solid degrees, but to graduate with healthy lifestyles. If we don't tackle this problem, it will take over the entire state budget, of which it has been growing ever since we started measuring this issue. Now, in terms of what our students are doing, our graduates, despite the budgetary battles that we fought through, our graduates are doing well. Our graduates, certainly, they earn more, they have the highest starting salaries and mid-career earnings in Louisiana, but more importantly, our starting salaries rank 21st in the nation among 50 flagship universities, tied with Chapel Hill and Ohio State. And our mid-career earnings, age 40 to 45, we're actually ranked 18th of 50 flagship universities in the United States, above Chapel Hill and above Ohio State. That's something to be proud of. And we get this argument all the time with many of our state legislators saying, why do some of the graduates leave Louisiana? Well, we need to figure that problem out. Most of these students stay in Louisiana. 70+% of our graduates stay in Louisiana. Those that came to us from other places, some go back, some stay. But more importantly, we're doing our job. Our faculty and staff are doing our job because there are other people who want to hire them. And we want to work with the state to make sure that, like we did with DXC, the company in New Orleans that's going to bring 3,000 high-tech paying jobs. The reason they came to Louisiana over 300 other communities that they were looking at was because of the relationship they're forming with higher education, but more importantly, the relationship they're going to have with LSU. And we're not just simply producing the graduates for DXC in computer science and engineering. We're putting their art research and development operation in our College of Engineering facility. So they work with our scientists, they work with our researchers, they work with our students to solve their problems, and right down to the development of a computer science online program specifically designed for DXC, which their hub will be in New Orleans, but their R&D facility is going to be here at LSU. So you couple the earnings power, the competitiveness of our earnings with our graduates, with the fact that as the national debate goes on about student indebtedness, only 1 out of 3 LSU graduates graduates with any undergraduate debt. The national average is 82%. The national average also shows that those 82% are graduating with about $32,000 worth of undergraduate debt. Our students are graduating, that 1 out of 3 are graduating with about $18,000, about half of the national average. So you put those two together, you put the earnings power together, the outcomes of earnings power, the outcomes of not sending them off into massive debt, which many of this country's students are dealing with as I speak. The rate of return has never been stronger. And you can bet this is what parents want to know when I talk to parents. They don't want to know that they've seen all the glossy brochures. Parents want value. They want to know what their investment is going to bring and what their students are going to graduate with. And our degrees have never been stronger. And the employment of our graduates has never been greater. And the debt has never been comparatively less than the rest of the country. So as we go forward, our strategic plan is about not necessarily helping LSU become somebody else, but we need to measure our success, our university's success on our ability on getting this state out of being 49th in health, or 48th in economic growth, or 47th in inequality. And the great value that I think the most important value that we have was shown in the recent Chetty study that was out of Berkeley and Princeton. The Chetty study shows it analyzed institutions based on their social mobility. Does Tocqueville still live? Does Tocqueville's point about social mobility, is it still true in the United States? This is increasingly questioned in study after study. But what you can find in the Chetty study is that LSU ranks third in the SEC Southeastern Conference in getting students from a lower quintile to the next quintile in earnings power, which means the intergenerational effect of what's happening at LSU and our graduates is still very strong. Not every institution in the country can say that they are still in the social mobility, that is a mission of social mobility. There are many institutions that take the top 20th percentile and turn out the top 20th percentile. I would argue, what have they really done? When we're taking students from a lower quintile and moving them up the ladder, the earnings ladder with intergenerational impact, we're still strong in social mobility, and we challenge our faculty to maintain our position in making sure that the next generation is better off than the generation that went before them. And that's why I'm proud to say that we're at LSU, and that is our most important achievement for this state, is the intergenerational impact that we can have on the next generation of families and the next generation of educational attainment. So having said that, I can tell you that LSU, we're in the process of a quiet capital campaign phase, our largest capital campaign in our history. We're moving forward. Our applicant pool has never been stronger. We're up 38% on applications, more than any other Southeastern Conference school. We're up 99% in kids that want to come here from California and 140% from kids who want to come here from New York and New Jersey. We're up 5 to 10% from kids in Louisiana who want to stay. So our pitch to the state legislature is just give us a state budget, a stable budget. We're not asking for anything. We just want stability so we can take advantage of the reputation of our institution and take advantage of the momentum that we have as a university. And I'll finish with this concluding remark. This past year, we had a stable budget for the first time. We weren't cut for the first year. And the new cohort of faculty we were able to bring in, normally we bring in about 70 to 75 to help basically offset who retired. Not entirely, because of the budget reductions we had to deal with. This past year, we brought in 133 new faculty. This is the most experienced, the best educated cohort that I've seen at LSU. Now, those faculty, that tells you something about the LSU brand. Those faculty came to us from Michigan, 4 from Wisconsin, 2 from Berkeley, 1 from Harvard, 2 from Yale, 1 from Princeton, 1 from Brown, 1 from the University of Washington in Seattle, 2 from UCLA, 1 from Oxford, 1 from the Sorbonne, the University of Paris, 1 from Punjab Agricultural University, the largest agricultural university in India. That tells you something about LSU's name and reputation when we can bring in a cohort of faculty that we were in intense competition with every other university in the United States to hire. But this cohort is brand new. They're bringing new ideas, new energy, and they're bringing it to the campus so our students can learn, grow from them, and participate in the teaching and research and service that we do. So I'm very pleased with the faculty that we have brought to the campus, the fact that we've turned around this outflow of faculty that we were losing. We've now turned this whole thing around. And we're moving forward as a university with a new strategic plan to address the state's issues, but also to help the state grow economically, to build the next economy for this state with our next generation of students that we have on the campus as I speak right now. So thank you all for coming out today, and I look forward to any of your questions, and we'll distribute this economic impact study to all of you before you leave. The message is that our university we're a fast-moving train with the new faculty that we have, with the student populations that are on the way. We just want our message is for the state to give us a stable budget and just let us do our jobs at attracting, retaining, and bringing in some of the most talented people. We're in the human capital business, and our job is to build this economy with people. And that's what we're doing better than we've ever done as a university, and we're going to keep doing it, and the attractiveness of our university has never been greater. So we really want to be, just let this train get on board and ride with us, because the university has never seen numbers like we're looking at coming up.
What advantage have you seen from 1 year of a stable budget?
The advantages are night and day. We've gone from hoping we have a flat enrollment to having enrollments in numbers that we've never seen before. The attractiveness of bringing in the best cohort of young faculty that we've ever brought in since I've been here just occurred last August. So I think that stable budget, just giving us some predictability with this budget, can do wonders for the university, but more importantly, do wonders for the state through the work that we do.
On the other side of the coin, what has an unstable budget meant for LSU and waiting until June to get a final number?
Well, these are it probably has the most impact on universities and colleges throughout the state, because dragging this out and holding higher education and holding students and parents hostage with their tops and their top scholarships is not beneficial for this state. And that's why we're hoping in the first special session to get this issue addressed. But right now it still hasn't been addressed, and we do worry about the prolonged nature of this and the unpredictability of what may come out.
How are other state universities outside Louisiana trying to attract Louisiana students with high ACT scores in an environment of financial uncertainty for Louisiana universities?
Well, they actually have much greater financial certainty, so they're able to come with scholarship dollars, particularly for our 28s and above, ACTs and 30s and above. They're coming after them with a lot of money, a lot of scholarship support, because their budgets are much more stable and they have predictability with their budget. So we're just asking for the same thing.
In conclusion, what would you like people to keep in mind about the value of higher education in general and at LSU particularly as we move forward with 3 more months of the legislative session?
I think that the real value is in the economic impact study. It shows that LSU is worth $5.1 billion to this state annually, and almost $1 billion in just earning growth that our graduates get in addition to that. And just the main campus right here in Baton Rouge is worth almost $290 million a year. So all of these, actually $202.9 billion to the Baton Rouge area. Medical school's worth over $1 billion to New Orleans. People need to fully understand of the economic reality of what this great university does for the state in every parish of the state.